On the weekly chart, we're going to be looking at ticker symbol AAPL. That is going to be Apple. You can see on the weekly chart a nice little green candle in here so far, although we are down on the day around $1.25 from yesterday's close. But nice volatility coming into the market, getting sucked back out, coming in again with those two big drawdowns and recoveries that we had overall today in the markets. And then actually that's exactly what happened here with Apple. And on that second push that we had in Apple, right around that 1:30 to 2 o'clock range, we actually broke through a major level, which is right that 272.50 range, held, and then we got up to those mid 273. So that's good news for us in here. And that's how we got to where we are right here, butted up against that 273 range. Now, as far as the weekly chart is concerned, though, because we don't really care about those intraday just yet, we're going to be overlooking here, or we're looking kind of at a bigger picture, right? So this is a big overview on this weekly chart. We're focusing on that 275 range. That is what we're looking at, where all eyes are ahead on that 275. That's what we need to get to in here. If we can get past that in a nice breach and hold, then we're looking at 280. On the downside in here, we have a lot going on in here right around that 269 range. Anything below there, it's going to be 265. That's going to be key for us. So that is what we're looking at. That's where our 9-day EMA is. So good support in there at the 265s. But if not, then obviously we're going to be focusing on that 259.24 range sitting right here. So that's kind of our levels we're looking at here in Apple. It's good to know that although we did get a nice little second run up and we did breach that 272.50 range with a hold, everybody started buying calls again. We do have to note that the longer term net flow, so over 180 days, actually was extremely bearish and stayed bearish. And you did not have a lot of action to the call side in here as far as at the ask on the call. So we do have to kind of keep that in mind as we overall are looking at what move just happened here today. So big pullback, nice little recovery for the markets. Another pullback in here, nice little recovery for the market, but a big recovery for Apple, although we are still down around $1.25. So nice push toward the end of the day in here with Apple. We're going to see what tomorrow brings. So we do have right around a $3 expected move on some low volatility. Your volatility is sitting in here right around an IV rank of 15. So we do have to kind of be aware of what kind of volatility could happen to go back into the overall markets. So we're going to keep that in mind as we're looking at Apple and we're seeing how it correlates to the overall markets. Now, speaking of volatility and volatility getting sucked out, we did have earnings last night after markets in Nvidia, and obviously we had a pullback in here at the beginning of the day for Nvidia, and we stayed down around $11 on the day. So 184.88 is where we closed, around 5 cents down. Everybody was kind of saying, hey, if we get a run up into earnings, look for a pullback after earnings. We did have in after hours yesterday, we had a nice little pop right at that 4 o'clock, 4:05 range to 2:04. But then obviously we had the nice pullback going in. And we still had a solid open overall, and then we had a pullback. But Nvidia, now that we had that big down move after earnings, no more earnings catalyst in here, no more volatility. Where does that kind of put us? This 9-day EMA sitting at 186. That's going to be our first battle we're watching. Anything above there, it's going to be that 196 range in here. You can see we bounced off of that a couple times in the past few months. To the downside in here, we are watching the 184s. I know we're about 89 cents off of it right now. Anything below there, we're going to be looking down here right around that 174 to 173 range is what we have kind of marked out in here. So that's what we're looking at in Nvidia. Implied volatility shrunk tremendously because of what just happened in the overall earnings cycle, or I guess with the earnings catalyst in our expiration cycle this Friday. So you have right around a $3.30 expected move by Friday. Monday's pricing in about $5. If you go out to Friday, it's looking right at a $9 expected move in here for Nvidia. So we're going to see how the overall markets are going to correlate with Apple and Nvidia specifically, because these two are the big movers of the overall markets, but you still have to know that there's other tickers involved as well. So we're watching the volatility, we're watching the correlation, we're seeing how things shake out in here, and let's see what happens as we close out the week. And we're going to see how green is Apple going to close the week as far as our weekly chart, and then how red is Nvidia going to close on our weekly chart as well. That is kind of the two key questions, and we're watching that VIX and we're watching the volatility correlation between the SPY as well. We're going to keep all that in mind. All right, guys, if you like this video, make sure to check us out on all of our social media. We also have a Discord service if you're interested, and you can find all of our socials in the description below.